What's up, guys? It's me above the zero, and today with me is,
Dre, hi, man.
and it's the first of the year.
Yeah, well, Happy New Year, everybody. And with the start of the new year, we're going to be making several changes to our formula here on Esports Upload. Really hope you guys enjoy some of the changes that we're going to make. And to start off this week's episode, John's going to give us a quick little one-take Jake of everything that we're going to be talking about this week.
Alright, so basically what we're going to be talking about this week is should player salaries, especially in the LCS, be public, just like politicians.
Politicians or NFL athletes or any other sports athletes.
Yeah.
We're going to both be presenting the positives and negatives of this, so we'll share our opinions at the end too and see what you guys think, what side you might want to take. So for our first part of our discussion, we're going to be talking about what it means to have a public salary, not necessarily in the LCS, but just in a general work setting. So to start, having your salary public and known to all of your coworkers and basically just by your coworkers would remove speculation and guessing about, so like, oh, Jim Bob Coon gets paid more than I do. Why is that? It removes those question marks, and it also allows you to have open communication with your employer and with your fellow employees. So there's not as many secrets. You trust them more. You trust each other more. It creates a more positive environment. And the final reason is that you would know if I know what you make and you know what I make, then we can talk. Okay, so do you do more work than I do? Do you get paid more than I do? When you know what your coworkers make, people don't get mad at their coworkers for making more than them. They get mad at their employer for paying other people more than them. So it's not going to cause arguments between coworkers. It's going to make the people that work there go talk to their employer about why they get paid less or what they can do to be paid more. It creates a positive situation.
So the disadvantages to what he was talking about is for negotiations, most of the players in esports are like 17 to like 22 with like no life experience, and they're signing these contracts where they get absolutely boned. They sell away their IPs, and it's just a lot of the stuff that I can't get through all of them, but they don't know what they're doing and they're not ready for life. So I mean, the players aren't ready. Also, number two, that's rude in society for me to be like, hey John, well, how much do you make an hour? How much do you make a week? Yada yada. It's just not taken very well by certain people. The third point is jealousy. Like, if I know that Jim Bob Coon makes more than me and I feel like I do more work, I'm like, shit, I'm pissed. Like, I do more than this motherfucker. Like, what the hell? And then the last point is pressure. It creates pressure between the employer and the employee, and it could mess up the working environment that you have. So those are the disadvantages to it.
Now, specifically regarding the LCS, there are reasons why this is good in that context. So in the LCS, there has been a history. I'm thinking specifically back to when SK wasn't paying their players properly, and
or Immortals, not Immortals.
No, another team.
It was from the C
LCS.
region.
MYM. That's what it was.
MYM. There's also a team from the C region.
Yeah, exactly. They have a history of shortchanging their players a lot of money that they owe them. So I think their salaries being public, it will really help prevent that a lot more. And also, when I know that Double Lift is getting paid 5 times as much as me and I'm Wild Turtle, I want to play better so that I can get more money. So it'll create more competition amongst the players to perform well, you know? Especially in a sport, in an esport, where you don't want competition to stagnate. You don't want everybody to just feel fine about where they are. You want the competition to continue to improve and to get better and stronger. So I think sharing your salaries would really help that.
So there's a really good example to a very disgusting organization called Team Member. They're currently in the challenger scene, and they're funded by a venture capitalist. And they came out and they disclosed their salaries to try to get some positive PR from the community. And it's a complete abomination because all their players are overpaid. They don't have the same community reach as like somebody of like a Bjergsen, a double lift. And on top of that, they're on a challenger scene. Like, you're not doing that. For the best example I had from there, Golden Glue is making $90,000 this year in the challenger scene, guaranteed.
60 something from 62, I believe, from his contract, and then another 27,000
from a signing bonus, which is a complete abomination. Like, you should not be paying that much for being an amateur in a esport. The second part is
the idea behind that is that teams are taking advantage of this to
get
make themselves look
PR.
better.
Yeah. So the second part is there are actually like no unions in place for the players, and like I said earlier, they're dumb as hell. They don't know what the hell they're signing. They don't actually look at it. They don't hire a lawyer to look at it. So until unions are in place and like these things are talked about in like collective bargaining between players, lawyers, and team owners, it's not gonna happen. Like this is not. It's not the time for it yet. The numbers are actually skewed because players can go out and they can actually seek other ways of making money, either through sponsorship deals, appearances. There are other ways that they can create money, streaming, YouTube.
Yeah.
And so they're not actually just making their salary.
Yeah, so when the organization comes out and if they're forced to reveal the salaries and then they do, those might not be actual numbers that the players are making. So it could be some unreliable information.
And even just like the culture they'll create in between the teams, like people will hate each other, like I said before, and it's not there. We're not at a point yet, at least in League of Legends, where I don't think this would be a positive thing for the scene.
So to wrap all this up, in my opinion, I feel like having open salaries is a positive thing is just a positive concept for the LCS going on in the future. I feel like it will create competitive environments. It will help these players understand how much they're actually worth to their organizations. Because if I'm playing support for TSM and I feel like I'm important to them, but then my salary is 1/10 of what it is for the rest of the team, I didn't know that they're being paid so much more than me. It's not fair. It's not worth it for me to keep playing if I'm not being paid what I deserve. It prompts them to ask more questions, like, why aren't I getting paid more? It'll help them become better as players because they're competing with each other more.
And to the counterpart, like I said, there are steps that need to be taken in place. There needs to be a union. Players, they do need to know their worth, but coming into 2016, CSGO is getting on the TV, which means there's going to be a lot more sponsorships there. We're going to get more airtime. There's going to be more audience that's going to be coming in that didn't even know that they were fans of esports because, esports is just kind of like an internet culture thing right now. There's only so much space that you can put on a shirt with the sponsors. So if TSM has Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, like all these big names, once they run out of space, they can't take any more sponsors. Like you can't. So it's going to move down to lower teams, and then if each team is investing into making their org bigger, then capitalism will happen. Some will fail because they make the wrong decisions, and yeah.
What does that have to do with player salaries, though?
It does have to do with player salaries. Because when there's more money coming in with more sponsorships, each player will be compensated for what they're worth.
Right, but then how are they supposed to know what they're worth if they're not sharing their salaries with each other? They don't know what other...
It's going to do more hurt now because there is no negotiators. There is no way for them to...
So what you're telling me is you think they should have open salaries, just not yet.
Now.
They just need to take more steps, more precautions to make sure that the system doesn't fail first.
Yes.
Okay. That's fair enough, but I mean, I feel like they are ready. I mean, it's a big organization. It's big bills, big money.
I mean,
If there's that much money in circulation, I feel like players should know.
there's going to be a lot more this year, though.
Fair enough.
All right, that's it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's where we're gonna end our discussion off for this episode of Esports Upload. Be sure to use our evidence to make up your own opinion and share it in the comments. We'll see you guys next week with our next episode, and we did a little bit of a different format this week, so be sure to let us know how you feel and what you think about it, and any comments or questions, let us know. See you guys next week. Later.
You gotta click.
Gonna do a closing comment.
Say it.